All right, so these are the practice problems that go with our last lesson that we talked about, angles inside and outside of a circle. And with that, we saw two different types of equations because there's two different types of angles, one inside, one outside, of course. And 1 and 2 do a great job of demonstrating each of these formulas. So if we look at number 1, we see our angle is clearly on the outside. And if you look back on your notes, you'll see that the formula for that when the angle is on the outside is x, which is your angle on the outside, equals 1/2 of the arcs minusing each other. So if I look at that in the terms of this problem here, x is what I'm going to be solving for. I have each of my arcs given to me, so it's going to be 1/2. Of course, I want to have my bigger arc out in front because I want to get a positive number here, so we're going to subtract it like this. So this you could simply type into your calculator and get an answer. And if you do so, you should get an answer of 67 degrees. So 67 is your answer there for 1. Now looking at number 2, this time instead of having the angle on the outside like it was here, it's on the inside. So the equation for that will have our x, so our angle in the middle, equals, instead of subtracting, we are going to add. And because we're adding, the order of our two bases here, the 52 and the 80 in this case, doesn't matter where we put those in the equation. So I'm going to say x equals 1/2, and then we're just going to add each of those two arcs up, put that into our calculator, all of that right there, and we're going to get 66 as our final answer. So these are the two formulas that we need to know to work all of these. Not all of these are going to be as easy as they are in 1 and 2. We'll have to do a little bit more algebra, but this is how easy those problems can be. Now we're going to take it up a notch in number 3. So if we look at this, our angle is on the outside, so we're definitely going to be using that equation there. But this time they give us the angle on the outside, which is at 23, and we have to find an arc inside. So we have to do some algebra here. We're going to have 23 equals 1/2, and then inside my parentheses, this is still my bigger arc, so I'm going to go 200 minus x. I'm going to say you will see a problem like this on your quiz. Now if you notice that x is inside the parentheses, so I have to solve for it. So the way that we do that is, there's a few things that we can do, but I think the easiest way is multiplying both sides by 2. By doing that, it's going to eliminate our 1/2. If we look at the left side of this, we're obviously going to get 46 equals, and then if I look at this, I have 2 and this 1/2. Those are going to cancel each other out. This will happen every single time we do this, and we're left with what's in our parentheses. So that just moves on down. From there, we can solve for x. Now what you're going to notice is you're going to have to subtract the 200. When you subtract the 200, you're going to get negative 154 equals negative x. This is supposed to happen. What's going to happen, those negatives are going to cancel each other out. So you're going to get 54 degrees as your final answer. Again, this is okay to happen, but because you have two negative signs there, they're going to cancel each other out. You're essentially dividing by -1 where they all cancel out. So that's how you do your first 3 problems there. All right, so moving along to our problems down here. If you look at number 4, they give you your angle in the inside of the circle. So this is just like number 3 where we're going to have to solve for an angle out here. This time it's going to be even easier. So my 92 is going to be outside because, like I said, that's the angle that's provided for me. And then I'm going to have 52 plus x. So again, very same concept as what we just saw in number 3. I'm going to have to multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of that 1/2. So over on the left side, I'm going to get 184. And then over here on the right, I have this 2, I have that 1/2. 2 times 1/2 equals 1, so they cancel each other out. And then what's in the parentheses comes down. What makes this a little bit easier is that when I subtract here, I'm not going to have to worry about any negatives or anything like that. So I subtract those two, I'm going to get x equals 132. So 132 degrees is my final answer in this case. Number 5. Number 5 is an interesting problem. I like this problem a lot. So looking at what we have here, we still have an angle inside, so we're going to use a similar equation like we used here in 4. However, here is my x right there. Here is the angle for that, and this right here is the intercepting arc that goes with x. I also have x on the other side, so I'm going to have vertical angles, And because I have vertical angles right here, my other intercepting arc for x is going to be this 144. So essentially what I need to do is figure out what that arc is, and then I can plug it into my equation. So I have a step to do before I get to plug everything into my equation. What's interesting about this problem is if I look at the chords that are given to me in this problem, I see one right here that goes to the center of your circle. Because of that, that means that these two angles up top must add up to equal 180 degrees. So I have this 110 here. Whatever I have over here, that needs to add up to equal 180. So of course we're going to subtract those, and when I do so, I get 70 degrees. So I'm going to use that 70 degrees because this arc right here is across from my A, or the intercepting arc for x, I should say, instead of A. And then same thing right here with this 144, where it's the intercepting arc of x as well. So all of this is going to get plugged into my formula. So x equals 1/2 170. I'm sorry, we are good right here. We're going to have 70 plus 144. So all of that can get typed into your calculator, and you should get x equals 107 as your final answer. Got confused about adding or subtracting there, but important to see where the 70 comes from. We need to have that 70 because it's an intercepting arc. Last one over here is number 6. So let's take a look at number 6 really quick. So this time our angle's on the outside, so we will subtract this time. However, they don't give us both of our arcs. They give us this 210 right here, but I don't have this important arc right there. However, it gives me a 35, and I'm going to use that 35 to figure out what that arc is. So think of this circle being broken up into 3 parts. You have this one, and then what we're looking for here. So what we're going to do is subtract all of those from 360, because when you add all 3 of those parts of a circle up, you're going to get 360 degrees. So I need to subtract those 2 arcs, like I said, from 360 to figure out what that orange arc is going to be. When you plug that into your calculator, you'll get 115. And now you have everything you need. So this time we will subtract x equals 1/2. I got 210 minus 115. So again, that's good enough for us to throw into our calculator and get an answer. We will get a decimal this time, and that is going to be 47.5 for x. All right, so we got 3 more problems left. 7 and 9, you have to be careful, and you kind of have to see through. It's pretty busy. You have to see through a lot of things. But if I look at number 7 here, I see that I have a diameter. So the first thing I should think about is that everything on the outside of this over here to the right means I'm going to have 180 right here. So that's actually going to end up being my intercepting arc in number 7 in this case, because here is where those end off at. They end off basically at that diameter, so everything behind that is going to be 180. I got 124 down there, and I need to figure that out. So just like the problem before, I have 3 parts of my circle that is basically split up for 3 parts of my arc. So I'm going to take 180, I'm going to take 360, subtract 180, subtract 124, and I'm going to get 56 right here. So that little arc right there is 56. After I do that, I have everything I need to figure out what my x is going to be. So I'm going to have x equals 1/2. I'm going to subtract 180 minus 56. So once again, that's a nice equation that we can just plug into our calculator to get a final answer of, and when we do so, we should get x equals 62 degrees. So that angle on the outside is going to be 62. Looking at number 8. Number 8 is a good problem. I'll basically guarantee you'll see a problem like this on your quiz as well. So this is a special type of angle on the outside. These are basically 2 tangent lines, and it's going to end up splitting your circle into 2. So if I got 100 here, the rest of the circle is that outside arc. So I would just go simply 360 minus 100, and I get 260, meaning that arc on the outside is 260. So I'm going to have x equals 1/2, 260 minus 100. And as you can kind of pick up by now, that's something you can plug into your calculator, and you should get x equals 80 in this case. You subtract, you get 160, divide that by 2, x equals 80 right there. And then the last one we're going to look at is number 9. Again, there's a lot going on here in number 9. First thing that I really want us to see is this angle here. That angle goes through the center, therefore this is a central angle. So if I got 130 here, I'm going to get 130 degrees on that arc outside of there. Now when I look at this is an angle that's on the outside, so I have that intercepting arc furthest away, but I still need my intercepting arc closest, which is what I have right here in blue. If you notice, I have every part of my circle here, here, and here. So I'm going to go 360 and subtract all of those arcs out of that. So when I do that, you're going to get 108 for that other intercepting arc. So in our equation, that's going to be x equals 1/2. I'm going to have 130 minus 108. We're going to get a small number here, but when you plug that into your calculator, you'll get x equals 11. So that's how we do all of these 9 problems. Those first ones we saw were pretty easy, and then we got some that are a little cluttered down here. But you have 2 formulas to use. If it's outside, you're going to subtract. If it is inside, then you're going to add. And of course, these will be provided for you. So if you've completed these 9 problems, go ahead and get your review sheet and work on those.